Welcome back. 2023 Fantasy Football League. The yet unnamed league until Ross decides on it. Do you have an ETA for that, Libby?
It sounds like Ross has a good idea what he wanted to do. He texted me the other day, and I think he knows what he wants to do for the team, for the league theme. So I just told him not to drop it right away before I had the primer. So I would be expecting that to drop next week sometime.
I appreciated the Futurama "We're Back Baby" references.
Yeah, we were just saying that.
Back on
the new
Hulu.
season. Yeah, there's a new season. Who knew? It's the gift that we all never thought we would get.
Mm-hmm. Thank goodness for Futurama.
All right. Libby, do you want to just give a recap summary of what you sent out in the letter, and then we can discuss between the three of us some of the potential rule changes and questions that are still up in the air to start off?
Sure. So basically, if you didn't read the primer, which I don't blame you if you didn't, it's a little bit wordy. But just to kind of summarize it, there are a few things that I like to bring up every year. First of all, the first question is, hey, does everyone still want to play? And it turns out Matthew doesn't. So we're looking for a new member. It is a new league season. So just like the commissioner of the Big Ten, I have some candidates I have lined up, but nothing is official yet. We do need to find one more person to play. If you guys if anyone watching this has ideas of who they want to invite, you can text me, let me know. But I don't think we'll have a problem getting a 12th before in the next 5 weeks.
I mean, or we just convince one more person to quit.
Yeah, we could do that too. I think theoretically, I think a league is good with 12. I think 12 is just the numbers just work better. If you have 10 is fine, but it also 10 teams become really, I don't know if you guys have played in 10-team leagues, but they seem like everyone's just stacked for some reason. I don't know. So I think 12 is a good number.
Salary cap.
Yeah, me neither. I don't think I have either. But
I mean, I would guess that would even out the teams a little bit more than Snake. Snake 10, yeah, your teams are real stacked then.
Yeah. Well, and there's a pretty deep free agency pool too. So I think 12 just is the magic number. So we will look for someone else. I know that certain people have in the past have offered certain siblings or whatever. So I think I'm gonna text some people, but
James is a last resort.
James cannot come on here. No, I refuse. After the disrespect that kid has showed me for no reason, I have done nothing to upset James. He just like hates me, even though he's my prodigy and I trained him in the ways. He doesn't like me, so I'm not letting James on. So that's over my dead body.
That's fair.
But then again, I mean, you could really convince me to get James in here, and I think it'd be pretty hilarious. But so I mean, yes and no.
We've tried Three Brothers with the Naumanns before, and that didn't.
It doesn't work. It fizzles out, and then there's only one left now in our league. So yeah. So anyways, so we're looking for another member, but other than that, let's see rule changes. So first of all, we have the keeper rule. We didn't talk about this. Well, we did, and that's the problem is. Last year, we decided that we were going to have 2 keepers for this year. The problem was there was a lot of talk and discussion about, do you want to have a tax for a second keeper option? So the proposed tax that was discussed in the past was just $5 extra for a second keeper. I don't know how you guys feel about that.
What was the argument for a second keeper?
So the argument is, I mean, it was basically, do you want it? And a lot of people were like, last year around this time, the vote it came out to be 1 keeper for that current year, that was 2022, and then 2 going forward just to kind of try it out. And that's kind of what my opinion is too, is let's just see if it works, like how it would work. The plus side of it is the more people who are kept, the faster the draft goes, less slots to draft. But I don't know.
I think it's divisive. I am pro two keeper. Luke is not pro two keeper. I basically I was really bad last year, as you remember. So I made a lot of moves last year in preparation for two keepers, and I feel like I'm in a pretty good spot with my team. So I'm curious to see how it goes, but I kind of see it how it's like the NFL reviewing pass interference. They did it for 1 year and it was horrible, and they went back on it. So that's kind of how I'm viewing this year.
And that could be how this goes too. We are doing two keeper options for this year, but I mean, I would like in the primer there, you can kind of look at some of the people that I highlighted as keeper options. I don't think there's going to be many teams who go two keepers. Like I probably will. Like if
I was about to say, the person talking should very much have two keepers. Yeah. Lucas should do two keepers.
The real team that could have had two really good keepers was Krantz, who decided to quit, but he could have kept Kenneth Walker and Garrett Wilson for like $25 for both of them. So he had he drafted like 3 people, and then everyone else was just like a $8 rookie wide receiver. That was his whole team, and like he had a lot of good keeper options. Some people have options that are expensive, like Wes, like $51 for Travis Kelce. That might be worth it theoretically. Yeah, I don't know, but I think it'd be interesting to see how many teams actually keep 2 people, or how many teams actually keep nobody. That new team that is coming in for Matthew won't be able to keep anybody, because that's how it was when Seth and Wes joined the league. They didn't get the keeper options of the other teams. They just have a full budget. So we'll see how that works out. I'm going to send out a survey next week, and that's going to be one of the things you can vote on. Is we have 2 keepers. That is happening. But the question is do you want just 2 keepers, normal prices, or do you want that second keeper to have a $5 tax kicker?
Yeah. I mean, I'm extremely biased against it, just because I was looking back at past drafts. I'm probably the single worst drafter there is. Like, I cannot believe how bad my teams are.
And you did good last year.
Yeah. Well, if you look back at where I've finished each of the years, I haven't gotten better than like 7th place except for last year ever. I think there should be a tax for the second person if that's the way that we go, just because yes, the draft does go faster, but it's way less interesting because 24 players are gone. I mean, at the most 24 are gone.
Right.
And just looking at the list that you sent, I can go through, like, Ross should probably keep Mahomes and Tyler Lockett. Wes, probably not. Libby, you should probably keep Devontae Smith and Amon-Ra.
Yeah.
Sam can lock up the Cowboys with CD and Tony Pollard.
Or Tony Pollard and Travis Etienne. I think he has 2 good choices there.
Lucas has the Eagles with A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, that's true, but that's expensive.
Bit more than what you'd like for A.J. Brown, but Hurts.
Yeah, I think he should definitely keep Hurts for $19.
Yeah,
if nothing else.
I mean, Tim and I
would keep Nick Chubb too. I would keep Chubb for $47. I'd rather do Chubb and Hurts than A.J. Brown and Hurts, honestly.
I don't know, man. Tim and I did 2 separate mocks, and I got AJ for 58, and Tim got him for 48. So
yeah, it's pretty much market price right there. But I mean, at least you get it.
But every single person that's going to be drafted is probably going to be drafted for over market value, just because there's less. Like, you're just going to end up paying more because they're the ones that are available.
Well, and kind of to that point last year, you kind of saw that too. And like Luca, you were saying how you don't really have any good options. I think that's because you kind of went stars and scrubs, not traditional stars, but that kind of that mold. And what happened was we had a lot of last year, if you remember, the keepers were a lot of wide receivers. Like there were 3 that were not wide receivers. So that bumped up the whole market on wide receivers. Like if you wanted someone who, like Justin Jefferson, Luke, like who you got, I think you paid like $71 or something.
68.
Yeah. So that's what you had to do if you were, that's kind of what the market is. And it's just, so that's, I mean, I think that like the point is, if you want a $5 tax, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with either. I know we're doing 2 this year, and we can talk about not doing that again next year. But whether you want a $5 tax, I think that's fair.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it probably doesn't add that much in the long run. A lot of the people, even if they were probably $5 more, a lot of the people are still gonna grab them.
I don't think it's going to stop anybody necessarily. Like if we do vote on that, it's like I'm going to keep 2 people regardless on if I have to pay $5 for the extra. I'm still going to do it. But a lot of people are probably like, it's probably a pretty simple formula, So, anyways, that's keepers. And if you guys, if anyone out there has any more questions on that, you can let me know. And like I said, there is going to be a survey that comes out next week. Also on the keepers, you can only keep someone. I know we covered this before, for 2 years. So Ross kept Cooper Kupp for 2 years. He can't do that this year. Same with me and Austin Eckler. I think that's it. Tim, were you and Debo on that?
And I'm not gonna. I don't think he's gonna be a keeper anyways.
But would Lucas this be your? Yeah.
Hasn't Lucas had
he traded Derrick Henry to Sam last year.
Well, yeah, he was in danger of losing him.
Yeah, he wouldn't have been able to keep him this year, I don't believe, but he traded him. So, but yeah, I think the other person was.
I mean,
Debo.
I have it up right now who the keepers from last year were.
Okay.
So I can't keep Trey Lance.
No, you can, because you could have.
Oh, it would be my second year keeping him technically. Okay, right. So I'll keep that in my back pocket.
Yeah.
So Lucas kept Derrick Henry. Tom kept Jamar Chase.
Yeah, so he can keep him. He can keep him this year.
How did he get Jamar Chase for $19? Was Jamar Chase did he have a brain injury last year?
No, it's because when he first drafted him, which was 2 years ago, everyone was like, "Oh, Jamar Chase drops balls in the offseason." So because in practice he didn't have any. He was notorious for dropping balls his first year. So Tom drafted him for super cheap. Last year he kept him for super cheap. This year he's still going to get to keep him for super cheap. But this is the last year Tom is able to keep him on that price.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is.
Russ, Cooper Kupp.
Can't keep him anymore.
Who's Direction to Perfection?
Stefan.
Okay, so you kept Leonard Fournette.
Huh.
Stephon Diggs was a keeper. Mike Williams was a keeper. Austin Eckler, Travis Etienne, CeeDee Lamb, and Debo.
Yeah, I'm not sure. The only other one, I don't know if Debo would that be your second year keeping him, Tim?
Yeah, but I mean, I can tell you right now, I'm not keeping him this year.
And I don't know about Sam and CeeDee. I think that I'm not sure if that was his second year kept.
I can't remember now because a lot the 2 year thing confuses me because they technically have them for 3 years.
Yeah, you have them for 3 years.
Then they keep them. Then they keep them the second year.
Yeah, we're correct. So I think that Sam could keep CeeDee Lamb because I think that's the same as Tom with Chase. I think they're the same draft class.
Dude, not having to bid on CeeDee Lamb and Jamar Chase for 2 straight years is just. Yeah. I mean, it makes, like you said, Justin Jefferson probably $10 more valuable than.
Well, now you throw Cooper Kupp in there. It's going to be you at least have 2 big options to draft.
Yeah, Cooper Kupp comes back, and so does Austin Eckler. Those are 2 top 5 wide receivers and running backs, respectfully. So.
Yeah, and I'm probably not going to keep Devontae.
Yeah,
I don't see why I would.
No. So, anyways, that's keepers, and we can move on. Let me see if there's anything. What else in the primer? Also, the don't be a dick rule that Ross implemented last year. That means if someone was injured, and that it has to do with injury technically, that's the rule. If someone gets injured, like season ending, like say Kyle Pitts, and
Trey
then
Lance.
the person who drafted him dropped him, you could pick him up and then theoretically keep him, but because of the don't be a dick rule by Ross, you can't do that. So that means players like let's see, who are the two? Kyle Pitts is one. The running back from the Broncos who Drew tried to pick up, Javante, right?
Oh yeah,
What's his name? Williams. He can't
and
be kept.
I think he got drafted for like $39 too.
Yeah,
or something.
but then he got dropped because he got hurt, and then Drew picked him up for $0. So theoretically, Drew could have kept him for $15, but you can't. Don't be
What
a
about
dick.
the Jets running back? Did he get dropped?
Brees Hall, yes.
No, he's on my team, and I don't think I'm going to. Yeah, I'm not going to keep him though.
Yeah, and then the other one too was Seth picked up what's his face, the wide receiver on the Jags.
Oh, the guy
Calvin Ridley.
Calvin Ridley.
Yeah, so he can't keep him either. That was part. It wasn't don't be a dick, but that was the timing. He picked him up after the playoffs, so
that's a bad bet. That's a bad bet. Right, Libby? Betting bad.
Yeah. Sorry, there's hail coming down. I don't know if you can hear that on the audio or not.
No.
Okay, good, because it's. So, anyways, don't be a dick. Other things that I talked about in the primer, scoring. We could change it from half PPR to full PPR. I don't really feel like anyone's ever asked me that, or
no.
I don't know. Most rankings you see out there usually go. I don't know. It depends on. I feel like ESPN will give you rankings that are either standard or full PPR. And every time I'm looking at those, I just click on full PPR for our half PPR. I don't think it's that big of a deal. If anyone really has a strong opinion on that, let me know. But
full is too much. I like the half. I think it's much better. It kind of rewards good receivers and makes bad receivers not so good, even though they catch a lot of balls.
Yeah. The other thing too was format. We could change that. I know that someone was talking about. I think it kind of came up around this time last year. Like, why don't we go super flex?
That was me.
Yeah, that was you. I think Tom, said something about that too in the past. The problem is we could do that. The problem is that if we do that, we have to everything changes. Basically, the draft would look a lot different. Every quarterback becomes way more valuable if you have the possibility of starting two quarterbacks. So if we were to do that, what we probably would have to outlaw is keeping any quarterbacks from last year. You just wouldn't be able to, which wouldn't be fair for teams like Ross and Lucas who have Mahomes and Hurts, but it wouldn't be fair. So we'd have to, if we wanted to switch over to Superflex, we had to figure out either you can't keep any quarterbacks or you can, but you have to pay some kind of unholy tax for it.
I think that should be like the opposite of the 2-person keeper, where we should vote on it this year for next year.
Yeah.
Because that's a major change. Like that, like you said, that changes the entire league.
Yeah.
Like that's how big of a change that is. But
yeah, you can't really just do it. I mean, first of all, I don't think we'd get the votes for it, but I would feel really bad being like, oh, Superflex this year. So yeah, maybe what we would have to do is next year. Like maybe that's the move, is to be like, do we want to do Superflex next year? Yes or no? And if we do, then we have to vote with that, with the understanding of keepers would have to be built into it too, because if we vote on it and be like, oh yeah, Superflex next year is gonna happen, then I could draft a couple quarterbacks for cheap and just hold on to him all year long, even though I wouldn't start him just for the advantage of next year. So we'd have to look into that too. But
that would go to what you talked about next, which was a reduction in the bench size.
Yeah.
Which I agree with.
I think this is something that we should think about again. We voted on it last year, but I think it should change. Basically, you can vote in the survey. You can vote to keep it the same, but currently we have 5 bench spots and 2 IR spots, and because of that, it makes, like, I know you guys talked about that a lot last year about how it's just there's no players available, and I think we had to change that so they're like either vote to keep it the same, to remove a bench spot, or to remove an IR spot. Personally, I would just remove an IR spot, but I would remove a bench spot, one of the two,
I would be in favor of both.
Yeah.
We'll go to 4 and 1.
What it would do is teams would be less flexible that way, but it would make sense. And like, if you ever last year were like, man, my team's in a really bad spot, and you look at the waiver wire, it's like week 9. There's no options. There just isn't. And
yeah, I mean, the only reason why you should, for a flexibility standpoint, would need more than 4, or basically what your bench should be is like you have a tight end that you would never drop, but it's his bye week,
right?
And you have to pick up a random tight end and spot start, and then throughout the course of the year, you're spot starting wide receivers here and there.
Yeah.
Like ideally, you're probably holding on your bench 3 wide receivers, or one of those is a tight end and a running back.
Yeah.
Like that should be all you need. And then your one IR spot is like your star player that gets injured right away.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm in favor of this, but I think it leads to the next point of, if we're going to do that, let's get rid of defenses. I think we can keep kickers. Kickers are fine because they're offensive, but let's remove defenses because they're silly to roster and stream, and I'm tired of them.
You got to get kickers out of there.
Well, I was going to make it a one or the other thing this year. So I feel like that's the way to remove it, is to group. I think the question is, should we remove kickers and defenses? And that's either yes or no. I think what Tim was saying is, I mean, part of me likes the randomness, and I like being able to pick up a flex of defense. But at the same time, like what Luke was saying, if you have less bench spots, you really can't do that. Like if we only have 4 bench spots, it doesn't make any sense to, flex a defense in and out. And I mean, you would just drop your defense, and that's how you flex it. I don't know. I think I wouldn't mind getting rid of it, honestly. But
yeah, I mean, I think the waiver wires with less bench spot becomes a lot more fun, because then you do have to make those tough cuts. Whereas like the last couple of years, I don't think I've ever been like, oh man, I have to cut this person to pick someone up. It was like, I have this random wide receiver I'm never going to use. They're gone.
Yeah.
Like,
I feel like I have.
Stayed, like it would be fun if like 3 teams throughout the year were like using the Niners defense because you had to cut the Niners defense on a bye week, or like decided to stream a different defense and drop them just because you had a feeling.
Yeah. I feel like I've done that though, like where I've had to drop like a person I liked with upside, like was Tyler Algier last year. I drafted him because I'd like heard all this preseason hype about him, and like he was actually really good. He wasn't when I had him. But after I dropped him, Drew picked him up, I think, and he was really good at the end. But I had to do that. Yeah, I had to do that because of, I think it was like it was a bye week thing. He was like just the odd man out. That was a tough cut. And I think a lot of teams, I think if you only have 4 spots, it makes the strategy for your draft is different, because it's like you got to spend money on the starters, and like you can't really be that deep of a team anymore. Like I try to be deep, like have value in every position, but then it does. If you only have 4 spots, it's just like me. It doesn't really matter. Like draft a lot, put the capital in your starters, and then pick up some random guys who you can drop at a whim.
Have we completely removed the idea of tight end spot gets turned into flex position?
Yeah,
So not a super flex, but just flex. So it would be 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, and a flex.
Well, we have 3
Too many wide receivers.
3 wide receiver spots, but the third one could be a tight end position. But we also have a tight end position, so no one in their right mind is starting 2 tight ends, even though people have done that a couple weeks last year just because of matchups and whatnot. We could put that back in as an option. I think that I think this is like the second year we've done this with the 2 running backs, the 3 wide receivers, the 1 tight end, and the flex. I don't know.
Positions.
It is, but I mean, I think that's why we should go down to 4 bench spots. Personally,
for anybody who's feeling anxious about all these changes we're proposing, remember that baseball did this. How popular is baseball this year? People love baseball now. They used to hate it, and now they love it. So if we make all these changes, we're just gonna increase our league's popularity.
And that's the goal.
Drop defenses, combine tight end and flex into 1 position. Then we destroy the value of Travis Kelce, which is my ultimate goal.
Yeah.
Because he's the only good tight end.
He's not the only good tight end. He's the only tight end that's worth like tons of money, though, I would say.
I think the stat from last year was that his point total is the same value as like the next 8 guys combined.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. It's like the difference between him and tight end 2 was the difference between tight end 2 and tight end like 14 or something like that. Like point differential. So anyways. So think about that. Like I said, there's a survey coming out. Other things that we talked about, just if you want to I'm not going to put this up in the thing, but if you want to change the playoff seeding, those special rules with the 8th seed not being a record seed but a scoring seed, and then the top 2 seeds getting to pick their opponents, you can speak to that. I don't know how to put that into the survey. I don't know. I think it's good as the way it is.
I thought the playoffs rocked last year.
Yeah, I thought so too. So I don't know. I kind of like those special rules for our league. And then the other thing besides that is draft day. Like I said, I need to get another member still. So, but we got time. The first preseason game was yesterday, which I did not watch. But you have a while basically, and typically we did it on the Sunday before. The problem is that's Labor Day weekend, so that would be kind of hard to do. I know that Seth's had some problems with that in the past. You could do it on the 27th, which would be the Sunday before that Sunday. So that's like 2 weeks out. I don't know how people feel about that. Probably last year we did it for the first time on like a weekday. I think we did it on like a Thursday or like a Tuesday or something. That might work the best, I would say. So I don't know. I might have some choices, like do a multiple choice of what day. And I would maybe propose we do it the Tuesday prior. So that way it's like 2 days later you play. But that might be a little quick too. I don't know. But
so that'd be the Tuesday the 5th.
Because the 7th is the first game. So maybe. I don't know. I like to do it I like to draft real close to the start of the league. It just kind of seems weird to do it like too far out, Like I wouldn't want to draft next week. I mean, I'd be prepared for it, but I wouldn't want to do it that way.
Well, then preseason matters because if they get injured, then
exactly. That's kind of why I like to do it late, is because you get all those preseason injuries out of the way. But
Nobody plays their starters in the preseason anymore, though.
Yeah, but people could still get hurt. Jeff Okuda just went down today. Poor guy. But
Jeff.
anyways, but yeah, that's all I got, I think, for the certain changes.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we need, changes will be made, but that is what it is. I also agree that to draft as late as we possibly can. Just because then it feels like the values are where they're supposed to be. But I think we should set a time for keepers to be submitted by, and should probably have it at least a week before we draft.
Yeah, that we've tried to do that in the past also, and then that was I think we're pretty good about that. I think that I will do that, Luke. Have like a good probably like the Sunday before at least. That way everyone can mark off on their draft sheets that, I can't draft. I'm in Ross St. Brown, for instance. Last year was kind of weird because Krantz really screwed the whole pooch. He said he was going to keep this person, and then he didn't keep that person, and instead dropped all his guys on his team and screwed the whole thing up, and ended up trying to keep people for nothing. I don't know. Don't do that. Please don't be like Krantz last year. That really pissed me off. It set us back by like a half an hour on our draft. So just let us know who your keepers are ahead of time so everyone can know. It's like what Ross's rules. Don't be a dick. Just let us know.
Well, pre-draft, we'll probably do something more pre-draft once that all gets set. Are there any players you're excited for this year, Libby, that you think will be in the draft?
I mean, yeah, I'm not going to discuss any of them, but I don't know. I usually the guys I really want, I usually really target. I'd never ever get. I'm just a conservative drafter, and I see a big dollar sign up there, I just shrivel away. It's like, oh, I really want this guy, but it's at $55, so I'm just going to stop bidding. So there's a lot of guys that I want, but I'm not going to get.
I will always have flings with many Vikings players. I think it's probably going to be T.J. Hawkinson this year. Is my biggest Vikings crush, but maybe some Jordan Addison love too if I can sneak him through. We'll see.
Well, yeah, he can. He goes 185 miles an hour on the highway for his dog. So.
Hey, he apologized for that.
The greatest fake excuse of all time.
Dog emergency.
My dog ate my homework.
Unbelievable. Do you guys remember who the highest drafted player was dollar-wise?
Last year? It was either McCaffrey or Jefferson.
No.
Who was it?
Jonathan Taylor.
Oh, yeah.
$79.
Poor guy.
Who is maybe not going to play this year.
Maybe not.
Tough luck. All right, we only got a few seconds.
All right.
Final thoughts.
Looking forward to it. Can't wait. Football's back, baby.
Football.
I wish I could keep Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, me too.